Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Nathaniel Hackett, the Jets offensive coordinator, he said a lot of dumb stuff this year at the presser. A lot of dumb stuff. But he may have just said the most dumbest, disturbing, bizarre comment I've ever heard. We're going to react and talk about it. Here we go.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome here on a Friday. We're in the final week of the 2023 regular season, which some finality is sort of sad, but some finality in the middle of a 6-10 season feels a little bit better, I suppose, but that's neither here nor there. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available in the audio-only form if you prefer. By the way, I hope you guys appreciate the attire. I'm wearing the Hall of Fame hat and the old New York Titans, the Titans of New York shirt, so I hope you guys appreciate the continuity happening here. Just wanted to throw that out there for our football history buffs in the back of the room. But let's bring in our guest, Gunny Gumby. You know, every Blue Friday, we're like, you know what? Let's send out the bat signal up into the air and see if he hears it, sees it, and he rushes to the scene. Let's bring him in. Gunny Gumby, New York Jets Situation Report, joining us here on the program. Good morning, Gunny.
My boy Paul Boy Green. How you doing today, man?
I'm rocking, baby. I'm rocking.
It's
but
funny.
I got to tell you.
You just said Blue Friday, right? Literally, It's my Blue Friday at work today, so I don't actually have to work today.
Wow.
I kid you not. Like, you said that, and I was like, did I tell him that before? Like, I looked at the calendar, and I'm like, yeah, it's my Blue Friday today. I don't have to
We're
work
on
today.
the
I
same
work on Red
telepathic
Fridays.
wavelength. That's what's happening here.
Wow. Okay.
That's kind of trippy. That's kind of trippy.
That was very trippy, actually. Very trippy.
Well, that's a good way to start because I'm going to be honest. For people, Jet fans who don't know, and maybe you don't, on Thursdays, the coordinators speak. From Jeff Ulbrich, Brant Boyer, Nathaniel Hackett. You get to hear from them. It's pretty, you know, I wish I didn't, to be honest, after hearing that. And there, by the way, everybody, there's a full column below that I wrote at midnight last night. If you'd like to check it out, I wish I didn't have to write it, to be honest with you, but you got to call it how you see it. So here it is. We don't have time to play the full clip, so I will just show you some of the highlights here. You guys, if you'd like, that full clip is down below in the article, but also throw it up here on the screen. Here's what Nathaniel Hackett, here's what happened yesterday with Nathaniel Hackett. A media member asked Nathaniel Hackett, how would you assess, how would you describe the season of running back Breece Hall? Nathaniel Hackett says a bunch of mumbo jumbo, bleep, bloop, blah, and out of nowhere he says this. I don't think I was ready for him to be as productive as he was in the past game. I'm sorry, what? Let him continue. That has added a whole dimension to things that we can do. Lining up at wide receiver, catching the ball from the backfield. When he touches the ball, Breece Hall, I mean, he could score at any time. A media member, after this long diatribe, follows up once more and says, Coach, when did you realize that Breece Hall, not bad in the passing game? The answer Hackett gave was, well, you know, the first example, the first thought that comes to my head is week 8. Week 8. So Hackett realized halfway through the season that, wait a second here, we might have something with this Breece Hall guy. Oh boy, I'm going to be honest. Just to start this off, and maybe that'll paint your thoughts here, Gunny, but even if that's true, even if I'm a coach and somehow I was unaware that Breece Hall could contribute in that way, which seems hard to believe, why would I admit that publicly? That seems bizarre. That seems weird and makes me seem like an idiot, and I have no idea what I'm doing. What was your reaction to this? I don't know if this is the first time you've seen it or heard it, or if you saw it yesterday. So, what are your thoughts?
I saw the whole thing yesterday, Boy Green, while I was in my office at work. And I got to tell you, I have a little iPad. So I have like a little iPad while I'm working. You know what I'm saying? The YouTube stuff's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing this man speak this nonsense to New York media. And I almost threw the iPad across my office. In fact, if I didn't have, you know what I'm saying, the HR team right outside of my door working on a project, I would have probably thrown my iPad across the office. This is a man that really had the audacity, who is the offensive coordinator of the New York Jets, to get in front of New York media and state publicly, I had no idea that Breece Hall could play football. In essence, that is what the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets just told the world. It took me to week 8 to realize that this guy, Breece Hall, my goodness, he can actually play football. As if he completely forgot that last year in Denver, that's the one man that literally obliterated his team.
It's true.
When he was the Denver. How do you not know what your second best, if not your first best weapon can do on offense? It agitated me to no end, because it goes back to Woody Johnson giving him like the stamp of approval for next year. Like, you idiot. You told these bums that they were gonna come back next year, and now you got your offensive coordinator telling the world, making the Jets further a laughing stock, mind you, that he didn't even realize he had a football player on his team by the name of Breece Hall. That's what he said.
Yeah, here's the thing. For people who, again, may not know, the Jets interviewed over 30 people for the offensive coordinator role. Over 30. My question is, what the hell did they talk about in these interviews? Because Paul, we're interested in you to be the next Jets offense coordinator. Oh, wow, me? Oh, great, phenomenal. Okay, and we're going to interview you on Friday. All right, okay, phenomenal. Or in this case, like Saturday, Sunday. Okay, cool. Well, okay, what I would do, I don't know, might be on a limb here, might be crazy. I would start looking at the Jets roster, look at some film, see kind of who some guys are, because of this offensive coordinator. I mean, it's almost like we're interviewing each other. They're interviewing me, saying, what's your vision for the team? How do you think you would maximize these weapons on the team? And me, I'm like, hey, do I get full control here of starting players? And all kinds of questions would come to my mind immediately of things to ask the Jets, and the Jets, of course, to me. So, but one of the first things I would do is assess the roster, watch some tape, and say, "Ooh, okay, wow, okay, Garrett Wilson, okay, not bad. All right, we got a little wide receiver, okay. Oh, Breece Hall, okay, you can do a little something. Oh, wow, he caught a wheel pass in week 5 and had over 100 receiving yards. Maybe he can catch a ball, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions, of course. The real pressing question here, Gunny, is this. I hope that I don't have to eat my words. A couple weeks ago, someone said, geez, Paul, this Nathaniel Hackett guy's terrible. I'm like, okay, concur. But they say, what's your belief, basically, in him coming back next year? And I'm like, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to be here, so Nathaniel Hackett really shouldn't matter. If he calls into the headset, me and Nathaniel Hackett, all right, we're going to run Bluebird 22 Red Cobra. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, yeah, I know what that guy just said, but F that. We're running a Green Goblin 44. Okay, because I'm Aaron Rodgers. I can make up whatever play I want. We could draw it in the dirt. I can make things up. That's what we're going to run. So to me, that's giving me confidence in my head that I could be offensive coordinator in name, but it doesn't matter because Aaron Rodgers can change the play. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So it gave me confidence to say, well, that should mitigate the fact that Nathaniel Hackett, on paper and statistically speaking, is the worst offensive coordinator we've ever seen. So I said, that gives me confidence. But when I hear answers like this, I go, well, is this really the right guy for the job? It made me last night as I was running all over the place. I heard some people were talking about the quote. So Matt O'Leary, Jake Asman, I have a couple of their shows. You guys can check those out in the link down below from things they said, cool quotes about it from Hackett. And I saw it, but I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the actual audio of it until late last night. And I said, oh, I need to write about this. I heard it and I went, oh boy, that's much different than reading it. So I want to ask you, Gunny, the same thing, because last night I started questioning it. I thought the offense coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, would be okay. He's coming back. That's not an opinion. That believes to be fact. That apparently they've decided he's coming back. So, okay, he's coming back. But in my head, I said, it's okay if he's coming back because we have Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers can overrule anything he does, so that should be able to mitigate the difference. But last night, after hearing quotes like this, it makes me question whether or not that's true. So I go to you, Gunny. Does the Aaron Rodgers thing just wipe everything else away, and that should make everything better? Or do you question the fact that Hackett will still be the offensive coordinator with Rodgers?
If I'm being honest with you, Boy Green, I did think the way you thought. Like, you know what? It's Aaron Rodgers. It is what it is. He's more of a placeholder in terms of an OC, vice actually being the OC. We saw on the sideline Aaron Rodgers vividly not agreeing with a lot of the play calls he was hearing through the headsets, and that gave me confidence. Okay, so Rodgers knows this is stupid, so we know there's going to be some audibles when he's running the offense. Mm-hmm. But then I sat there and I thought to myself, okay, what if Aaron Rodgers goes down again next year? I mean, knock on wood, he's 40 years old. Our offensive line, it needs a full rebuild, if you ask me. What if he goes down again next year? Are we wasting back-to-back years, another year of this talented roster because we chose to put the offense in the hands of this level of incompetence? And that's where I get scared. I get worried. And then what if Aaron Rodgers, what we saw of him the last year in Green Bay, is the new peak for him? Is that going to be good enough to overcome the incompetence that is Nathaniel Hackett? I mean, again, Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the most talented throwers of the football we've ever seen, right? But Father Time is still undefeated. That he's undefeated. He's going to get his. Yeah. And at 40 years old, can Aaron Rodgers literally be the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, the running backs coach, the wide receivers? Can he really do it all to make this team relevant? I think we all agree that when we brought him in here, we were talking about Super Bowl. And I think when you're talking about Super Bowl, you kind of need complementary pieces around you. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to have that in the freaking the booth. He doesn't have the complementary pieces around him. So he's going to be the coach, the offensive coach, as well as the quarterback for the New York Jets. I mean, listen, I guess Peyton Manning could do it and made Adam Gase look like he was a genius.
That's
right?
True. Yeah.
So it's possible, right? With this defense, Aaron Rodgers can be average, and that could be enough. But man, I don't know anymore. Like I was literally in the same boat as you. I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter. He's a placeholder in terms of offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the dude. And then I went down this rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, what if Rodgers gets hurt? Like what then? Right. So I'm not as confident as I was a couple of weeks ago when I had thought the same thing that you thought. But after yesterday, I just can't believe this level of incompetence. I mean, we knew he was bad. But for him to be so incompetent as to admit to the world he doesn't know what he's doing, that to me just it's just sent shudders down my spine. I'm not sure what to expect now going into next season.
Now I will say this, and maybe some people will disagree, but it just is what it is. I believe bringing back the group was the right decision, despite the fact that I'm angry about it. And here's why. Because it gives the Jets the best chance to win in 2024. One of the big highlights of Aaron Rodgers coming here to the Jets with the setup that existed was something Peyton Manning pointed out on the Pat McAfee show. This is way back, but somewhere during the summer. Peyton Manning hopped on with Pat McAfee. And he said, you know, it was hell for me to go from Indy to Denver because I was learning all kinds of new crap. And like, you know, I had to have meetings with the offensive coordinator and say, hey, here's the things I like. Here's the things you like. And they tried to mesh it all together to make some sort of offense. Peyton Manning saying this of Aaron Rodgers says, well, the important thing, Phil says it in here, continuity here. Okay. Continuity. The important thing here is that Rodgers knows this offense. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be the teacher to the Jets players, even though he hadn't ever been there before, which is so important. I get it. Hackett is a little crazy, and statistically, he's been terrible. But the fact of the matter is, this is the Aaron Rodgers, Hackett, apparently baby offense they made a couple of years ago. And if they were to change it, and by change it, I mean get rid of Hackett, you're out the door, and you bring in some other boob, Aaron Rodgers would have to learn a whole new thing. All these players would have to learn a whole new thing. And basically this last year was a waste because all the things and chemistry and everything that Rodgers built with that playbook would be gonzo. They wouldn't exist. So for that reason, and we're chasing all in season, that's what's supposed to be happening this year. I feel like to get the best chance to get that Super Bowl, which I believe the Jets can still get with this team. They have a lot of things they got to fix this offseason, absolutely. But I believe they could still get it. If they don't, of course, if this year does not result in the playoffs and some sort of a run, I believe everyone's getting fired. Saleh, Douglas, Hackett. I think they're all going except for Rodgers. I think he'd be willing to come back, and then you'd have to figure it all out. But that's it for me. I believe they made the right choice bringing everyone back to maximize the ceiling. If you bring in a new guy, I think Aaron Rodgers learning a new offense, that will limit the ability. Again, he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer, but knowing the offense like the back of your hand and then a brand new offense, I just feel like that has to lower the ceiling. Do you agree with that, or do you wish that they would, in some ways, wash their hands clean, whether it's Hackett, head coach, GM, or anything of that nature, Gunny?
I'm definitely on team big picture, right? And I feel like this coaching staff is going to be very, very limited. But in the essence of short-term success, you're right. There's no other option. In terms of short-term success, Aaron Rodgers is the catalyst that could potentially get us there. He's comfortable. And I remember seeing that Peyton Manning episode too. And I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Very insightful. Yeah.
It was very insightful when he put it in that perspective. And I'm like, so I get it. So yeah, in terms of short-sightedness, in terms of like you just said, like if we're going to have the best chance to be relevant in 2024, you're right. This coaching staff, unfortunately, has to be kept in place. But man, I'm talking about by mid-season, if we're seeing this thing spiraling, I think heads need to roll like in season type of situation. I think like this is going to,
and that has never happened before. Just to add that the Jets have never done it under Woody Johnson's ownership. So if they did that, that would be like a whoa. If they did that, yeah.
And to me, I think that would have to be the case. If we're looking at a 2-8 or 3-8 record or whatever going into that midseason shit, we got to start chopping some heads off, man. Like this, a message has to be sent, and hopefully Rodgers sticks around for one more year. But man, it's hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, give them another chance after the heinous debacle we've just witnessed.
Of course.
In a season where it was literally tailor-made for the Jets to walk into the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? We had 10 home games. We didn't ever have an away game back-to-back weeks. Like it was about as tailor-made for us as possible, right? Like this was a custom-made schedule to get us into the playoffs and to be relevant. And then we couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure it out. Couldn't bring in a quarterback that was going to be able to at least keep us afloat. Give us a chance that Aaron Rodgers would come back in November when it mattered. Like the whole thing is beyond frustrating to me, Paul. But I get what you're saying in terms of, yes, I agree. In order for us to have the best chance of winning next year, Aaron Rodgers is the catalyst. That being said, you got to keep as much things around him, continuity being the word there, to go ahead and maximize his efficiency and efforts for next year. But I'd have this coaching staff on a very short leash next year.
But Gunny, let's highlight something you said earlier in this interview, and I agree with you. I want an escape hatch. Okay, I believe that Aaron Rodgers can help fix a lot of things. Again, the team needs to do a lot of things. We'll talk about that throughout the entire offseason of all the crap that they need to do. There's no question. Plenty of content. God bless America. Blessed be He. Thank you. Thank you very much. But you brought up something, Gunny. What if, and again, I normally don't even like to entertain these things because you open up your mind to the darkness, the Pandora's box, all kinds of things are coming out. But what if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt again? So here's the GM's job, from my understanding, is the GM's job is to prepare you, hope for the best, expect the worst. If you do that, as a GM, a guy who's always thinking about the past, present, and future at the same time. That's his job. Multiple steps, okay? So the short-termness is bringing everybody back so he can win now. But he's got to maintain that long-term approach as well. One thing I would like it is an escape hatch, because if Aaron Rodgers goes down and Hackett continues this absolute nonsense that he did this year, who can step up and replace his ass? So I don't know if Todd Downing, who does have experience, is the right guy, because he's been in the same room, and he seems like while it hasn't been mentioned by Saleh directly, it seems like Todd Downing has almost been promoted to co-offensive coordinator. Maybe Hackett
Right.
is still calling the plays and everything, but Todd Downing's like in the room. We see him on every camera from CBS or Fox or something. He's in the room whispering to him, talking to him like,
Yeah.
maybe this. I don't know. So, like, I don't know if he's the right guy, because if it's still this effed, I don't know if I want to pass it to his ringleader buddy over there. So maybe that's what the Jets should do in terms of adding an offensive mind to the room that has some connection to Rodgers. He could be like third wheel babysitter in the back. And if this thing explodes and we're slamming the red button in the middle of the room, okay, Hackett, you're gonzo. Okay, Todd Downing, see ya. And this third guy, I don't know who he is. I need to do a full assessment this offseason to try to find out who that guy could be, who's got the right capabilities, who has seen some tape on Breece Hall to say, he can catch a football, hopefully a little bit earlier than week 8 next time. So that's what I'm looking for, because I think you are right, Gunny, because what if that happens? Because again, you have to expect the worst scenario as a general manager to make sure you're prepared for everything. If it happens again, and then it's just this season copy and paste as last year, and this season, talking about 2024 to what last year would be 2023. And then we're just going through the motions of like, well, we lost Rodgers again, and well, we have no other choice. Like, no. You better have learned some shit, okay, to figure out the ability to be able to fix it. So I need to find out who that name is, but I think that's an important escape hatch for the Jets to add this offseason, just in case of a rainy day here, Gunny. I think.
I 100% agree. And I think we look at it like I like Downing in terms of being another option from Hackett, right? I have to believe that these guys, being the professionals that they are, they're looking at some of their coaches, mentors, whatever you want to look at it at, and be like, that didn't work. That was a bad idea. Just like we see Aaron Rodgers shaking his head when he hears Hackett calling the plays, I have to believe that Downing is looking at some of these things and saying like, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done. And I think having a different perspective within the same scope of the offense, we just saw the same thing with freaking Josh Allen. They fired the Bills fired their freaking offensive
Ken
coordinator.
Dorsey.
And then boom, Joe Brady. Joe Brady, who was the assistant OC or whatever, quarterbacks coach. The offense looks completely different within the same scope of the offense, right?
That's a good point.
You know what? So I think that having somebody who understands the offense and looking at the strengths of these guys, and I don't know, maybe having a more youthful and more creative viewpoint of the pieces on the board might make a difference. But I wouldn't be opposed to Downing. I just think that, again, like you just said, the continuity piece being so key, teaching a whole new offensive scheme midseason isn't going to help us, right? But if we can go ahead and see that the same scheme can keep us relevant to make a push, like the Bills just freaking did, I look at it in that sense, because I really believe that if Nathaniel Hackett can just come up there and say he didn't know Breece Hall could play football until week 8 of this season, it's more than the X's and O's component. The guy's just not smart. He's just not a smart guy. He doesn't see football the way everybody. I mean, literally 31 other teams knew what Breece Hall could do. They looked at the New York Jets and says, "Hey, we need to slow down Breece Hall." Everyone else knew. Every other fan base knows, but the offensive coordinator didn't know that until week 8 that this dude was him. So for me, I think there's something that you just can't. Nathaniel Hackett might be the issue. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing up Downing and seeing if you can get more creative within the same scope of the offense.
Yeah, and we'll end with this. I want to reiterate that we are bringing up the possibility that Rodgers could get hurt. And of course, it's possible. A meteor could hit my house tomorrow. That's possible. Football, right? You know, anything could happen. Sure, anyone. Even if, like I say, insert date, this person's been healthy forever, and then they got hurt. C.J. Mosley, right? He had been healthy forever, came to the Jets. He got struck by lightning. Jesus, oh, good Lord, have mercy. All right, he's hurt. All right, that's kind of weird. Haven't really seen that before, although it's been my experience with a lot of Jet players just suddenly coming here and then all of a sudden exploding into spontaneously combusting. I'm just like, Jesus, what in God's green earth? So I will say this, okay? Aaron Rodgers, prior to this season that just happened, had appeared in 81 of 82 games with the Packers over the last 5 years. The only game he had missed was COVID. So Aaron Rodgers was an NFL Iron Man coming in here to the Jets. And then, of course, this Achilles thing. So I will reiterate that I believe Aaron Rodgers will stay healthy. I believe that 1,000%. But the fact of the matter is we can't have what just happened happen. No. So on day 1 of free agency, who said this? Let me see if I can highlight whoever's comments that was. Okay, there it is, Phil. We need a Minshew type backup. Big offensive lineman repair where it's a plus, not a negative. Add a few more offensive playmakers. But I want to highlight the backup quarterback thing. And there should be a lot of them. Jameis Winston, Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett. There's a bunch of guys. So you pick, exactly. Pick your strawberry, whichever you prefer. That's fine. But on day one of free agency, you got to say, hey, insert guy, are you ready to be the highest paid backup quarterback in the league? Welcome to the team.
Yep.
And then that's it. That's got to be move numero uno for this New York Jets team. Don't play around. Get it locked in because it's going to be highly competitive. Every NFL team needs a new backup quarterback, and they're going to be throwing around some chicken scratch. Jets just need to be blunt and say, lose the negotiation phase. You are the highest paid backup right now if you sign on this contract. Okie dokie. And plus, I mean, it's probably pretty attractive for a backup quarterback. For one, he just saw Aaron Rodgers go down last year. So he's probably like, that could happen again. And then the Jets, for 8 consecutive seasons, have used at least 2 quarterbacks in a year, if not more. So they have a history of being forced to use the backup. So you get a bag of money, and you're probably going to play. So I think that just has to be addressed. Again, I believe Rodgers will stay healthy, but it's not about what I believe. You have to prepare for the worst case scenario, no matter what you believe. Even if you live in fairyland, Aaron Rodgers is going to play for 100 more years. Woohoo! Like, even if you feel that way, you still have to prepare for that other scenario. So I think that is a big move, number one, for the New York Jets this offseason. Gunny, I do believe that.
I couldn't agree with you more. To me, it's 1A, 1B, 1C. Get a legitimate, competent backup quarterback. And I love me some Gardner Minshew. I do. I would love.
Is that your
to see
choice?
Gardner Minshew.
Is that your
That's
guy you want? Okay.
If it's not Gardner, I'm a big fan of Jacoby Brissett as well. And then, oddly enough,
Ryan Tannehill? Do you want a Jameis Winston? These are just names. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
I think Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett, I love those two guys. If we can get either one of those guys, I feel really good about our backup situation. Tannehill and Jameis Winston, you know what? You never know what you're going to get from those guys, but at least you know they're capable of playing competent football. So those are more the joker card, so to speak. But I think Minshew or Brissett can go ahead and keep this offense afloat with this defense playing at a high level.
Well, either way, they just have to find a guy. So I see this from my dad. I disagree with this and a few other comments that will be coming in. Minshew will have a chance to start or likely to sign as a backup. I disagree. Although I guess we'll see because there's Russell Wilson who's going to be out there on the open market, a couple other guys. So maybe they could go to a situation like I'll make this up, Atlanta. Maybe. So I'm making Atlanta, like Desmond or yikes, Heineke, yikes. They go there and say, the Falcons are probably going to draft a quarterback high, but I'll compete with that guy. Do the Anthony Richardson, exactly what Minshew just did in Indianapolis. Let's compete. Shit, I lost. I'm back up. And then he ends up getting in anyway because of injury. Yeah, so sure, maybe some of those backups will decide on those situations over the Jets. Maybe that's possible. I don't think, though, a Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett or anything, they sign him and they're like, the team goes, you're our guy. Buckle up, Minshew. We're going Minshew mania because no team has ever done that. Jacksonville, they had who I can't even remember who the guy was before Minshew. It wasn't that was prior to the Lawrence thing. So whoever the hell, Nick Foles, I think. So they paid Nick Foles a crazy bag of money, and then he got in, and then they kind of wrote it, and then they said, okay, this is over. Indianapolis, Anthony. They didn't say Minshew. Ride. It's not a ride, baby. Let's ride. Nope. They went, let's take Anthony Richardson, top 5 pick. But Minshew, you're there in the room. So I don't know if anyone's going to go to that level of commitment, but maybe if they want to play. But I just think the Jetsing will be attractive. Money, the opportunity, and then being in the same room as Rodgers, I think that's going to attract a lot of people. Again, ultimately, we'll see what happens there. But I'm really excited for this offseason. The season had some moments. I can't believe they beat the Eagles. I know the Eagles suck now, but then they were pretty good. It's like my grandpa's story I tell on the porch. Oh, that Eagles team was pretty darn good, kids. And, I'm trying to tell those stories of, the Buffalo Bills. Week 1. Yes, we did that with Zach Wilson. Oh, yes, good times, So there will be a little bit of that action happening. Yeah, the good old days. That's right. But I'm excited for 2024 because the Jets are going to, here's spoiler alert, they're going to get a lot of bang-ass primetime games. That's happening again because of Rodgers' return. They're getting the maximum. They're getting 5 primetime games, maybe 6 with the Black Friday game if that comes back. I think they're getting the full Monty. It's going to be exciting. They're going to be aggressive, add a bunch of pieces. And Gunny, as Russell Wilson once infamously said, Let's ride, baby. And let's buckle the seatbelt and let's go.
Jets country.
That's right. Beautiful. Well, Gunny, thanks as always for joining us. We'll have to check in with you a few times during the off season and get your thoughts on everything and anything, man. But as always, I know the fans love you. They love you. They beg for you. Like, where is Gunny?
You guys.
So amazing.
You guys. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow morning we'll get some more Patriots love. Pat Lane will join us from New England land. Looking forward to it. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care.